Old is new, has his prologue, all the things. How is this attempt different than the first?
Well, substantively, it's not. But, unfortunately, the Supreme Court really didn't put an end to this.
Were there no teeth in their ruling?
Well, the way it came up to the Supreme Court was that it was on a sort of a procedural issue.
Okay.
Right? So when they issued their ruling, they said, well, at a minimum, you need to give her notice and an opportunity to respond to the allegations. This is the most basic concept in kind of legal due process. So, I thought perhaps because when the court issued its decision, Trump had already managed to clear the deck and get Warsh confirmed. So I thought, okay, well, maybe they'll sort of back off now because he kind of got the political win he wanted. But evidently not. So he's still going at it.
Well, the political win he wants is rate cuts.
Right.
But I do wonder, why not try? There are other people on the board who are against the rate cuts that he's calling for.
I wonder why,
Why not try them?
I wonder why it's the black lady.
Yeah, it's the black lady.
Huh?
Yes.
I don't know.
It's been a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, though, at the end of the day, for Ms. Cook, she has shown the kind of resolve in this fight that is very admirable, because I think for some folks, they could just say, you know what, I don't need this in my life. Yeah. I don't need this hassle, whatever. I can have on my resume I was a Federal Reserve official. But for her, it's more about the importance of standing the ground. Her attorney noted today these allegations are baseless now, as they were a year ago when President Trump tried to remove Governor Cook and interfere with the independence of the Federal Reserve. No matter what President Trump tries to do next, this much is clear under the facts and Supreme Court precedent. There is no valid cause for removing Governor Cook, period.
Right. Look, I think in terms of, what Eugene just mentioned in particular, one of the most telling early episodes of this administration was when the helicopter, there was that issue with the helicopter at Reagan National.
Yeah.
And immediately Trump came out and decided to blame it on DEI because when he knew nothing about what had happened, right? I mean, this is an administration that treats, black people, non-white people, women in positions of power as presumptively unqualified and presumptively on the decks for removal. I don't know if it's the only, but the majority, if not all, the cabinet officials he's fired, women. Right. Mm-hmm. And, the targeting of black women, not just at the highest level, but within the federal workforce itself as part of the firings and the purges or whatever has been a major, major issue. And it's had an extraordinary effect on those people who have been in the federal workforce. Lots of very good articles, including at the Washington Post, have been written about this issue and the effects on black women in particular who used to be federal employees. So, I don't know Ms. Cook at all, but I do think she's doing something admirable in saying, I'm here. You have no right to do this to me, and I'm not just going to buckle.
Yeah.
There would be other potential remedies for the president to try to right the economy other than coerce the resignation of a sitting board member. I mean, we just had Jared Bernstein on the hour before, talked about there wasn't a need for him to go to war with Iran. There wasn't a need for him to decide to try to impose tariffs for a third time against the will of the courts and consumers who have had to eat the cost increases as a result of those tariffs. But let's also just go through some of Trump's own cabinet members who have the multiple primary mortgages, which is what Lisa Cook has been under, quote, investigation for to begin with. Lori Chavez DeRemer, former Labor Secretary. Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary. Lee Zeldin, EPA Administrator. Is this going to be the line of the query that they pursue yet again, or can they get more creative this time around?
I mean, I think they have what they had last time still. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court said, you can give it another go, and they've decided to do it. The argument has not gotten any better, right? It is a baseless case. It is a case or a set of allegations that could equally apply to plenty of other people who are not out of favor with the president. But of course, they're not doing anything about that. It's another instance of the administration sort of picking the sort of bluntest instrument that it kind of has available. And it's not always an intelligent way of going about things, right? But it is the way they choose to do this. Part of it, I think, is honestly a sort of a level of simple-mindedness about the tools available to them in the government. I don't think they entirely understand the subtler forms of working within the government and
they don't
persuasion in
strike
Congress.
me as the kind that actually do a little thing called real due diligence and the hard work.
They didn't do the homework.
They don't do the homework.
Right. So this is an easy way. We'll have this Bill Pulte, who nobody ever heard of before last year, and is not qualified to serve in the government, spin this up, go out and pretend it's on the level, and then here we are a year later, and change later. The argument's no better, and it's just as frivolous as it was the first time.
And to your point about not understanding the tools, it's also not understanding how the Fed Board of Governors works, because Lisa Cook is one vote, Warsh is one vote. The chair does not have one more vote than everybody else. So just going after Lisa Cook does not even change what Donald Trump actually wants, which is for them to raise the rates. And honestly, if they're raising the rates, I'm not an economist, but I talked to them and they say when you raise rates, that's a bad move. That's bad. That means that the economy is in bad straits, in dire straits.
That's a very good point, and it gets to exactly what you were saying, which is sort of the simple-mindedness of it all. And especially next week, there is an inflation report that is supposed to come out, which is likely to show that inflation, despite the jobs market showing some losses, that inflation is going to be even worse. And yet, Trump this morning, to Punchbowl News, is still insisting on rates being cut. Let's listen to that quickly.
Should Kevin Warsh, your Fed chair, avoid a rate hike before the election?
Well, it's up to him a little bit, but not completely. He's got a board that's very political.
Right.
The United States should pay the lowest interest rate in the entire world.
So you think that he shouldn't hike rates before the election?
It's not totally up to him. It's up to a board. I think he's great. I won't be criticizing him.